Um, just to kind of slowly go over what we're going to talk about today, just to kind of remind y'all, today we're going to talk about accountability and effort and the relationship between accountability and effort. We're also going to talk about the grade book, how to use it. We're going to talk about basically a bunch of kind of social engineering-y topics around community and esteem and things like that. And then we'll kind of end it by showing you the course portal and just showing you kind of some important stuff about the course portal, where to look as a tech fellow, that kind of thing. I'm going to mess around for another 2 minutes or so. Trying to think of something that was a good icebreaker. What's one thing that you think that's going to be new in the next 5 years, or like a bigger deal than it currently is? It's like my fun icebreaker. Say something in the chat. What's something that's going to be new in the next 5 years that we aren't, don't recognize right now? Mars. It's been there a while, I feel like, Mars, but yeah, no, I think that'll be cool. Cool. Got another minute to just kill. Wait for everyone to come in. Anyone else got a future prediction? Automated retail stores, that'll be nice. I know that my experience in retail hell was hell, so might be nice to be able to skip that one. Anybody else got any predictions for the next 5 years? All right, we can go ahead and get started. Wait, growing obsession with inflatable arm playing tube people and the many psychological benefits they can provide? Yes, of course. All hail the wacky inflatable arm masters that are coming. No, that was good. So we'll go ahead and get started today. So we're going to talk about accountability and effort. We're going to go over the grade book, and we're going to talk about some social engineering concepts, right? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in since you're all kind of here and paying attention. So I want to ask you a question. We're going to talk about accountability and effort first, right? So I want you to take a moment, and I want you to last week we talked a lot about engaging classrooms, and we talked about thinking versus listening. So I would talk, and you would kind of notice that I was slowly losing you because I kept talking about that. We talked about how to keep your lectures tight and short, pods of 4 students and how useful they are and helpful they are, and writing a code along script. So one thing that we usually do in the facilitation training is I talk about this code, code there it is, code along script, right? So last week I talked about this code along script, and normally I ask people to turn this in, but I'll sort of tell you the spoil the joke for you, but like, nobody ever does this. Nobody ever does this assignment. I give this assignment out, and I only give it out in my slides, and I only ever talk about it in class. It's not in any of the course materials, and it's not written down, and no one ever like reminds you to do it or emails you about it or talks about it anywhere but here. And as a result, no one ever turns this in. So that's kind of what I'm talking about there when I say like the facilitator activity. Now, usually we use this to kind of illustrate that like even the tech fellows who are the smartest and like most committed people that are helping us to run this class will still not do something if it's just on a slide and not written down anywhere and not reminding anyone. So that's really the goal around talking about accountability and effort today, is to really give you an idea of like, as a teacher, in order to get people to do things, you can't just say, hey, y'all should do this, and then expect that they're going to go off and do it. There's actually kind of a complicated situation going on there. So to think about your own experience and bring your own student experience to the forefront of your mind, let's talk about this question. So I want you to answer in the Zoom chat, which is the most motivating for you with the goal of producing the most effort? As in, you're going to be working the hardest on this project. So don't answer right away. Take a moment. What is the most motivating situation of these 5 situations? Submitting a project as a group to the instructor, presenting as a group to the class, presenting as an individual to the class, publishing something for the world to see, or submitting a project as an individual to the instructor. So of these 5, what is the most motivating for you personally? Okay. So in the responses, y'all can see these responses: publishing, presenting, publishing, presenting, publishing, presenting, publishing. So we all voted that personally submitting a project to as a group or as an individual, doesn't matter, just to the instructor, not nearly as motivating for you. Some people are more interested in presenting as a group to the class. Some people are more interested in presenting as an individual. And I think that's another important difference in a lot of people. Sometimes people who work on groups, they are the only person who does work because they don't know how to communicate, how to hand off work. Other times they don't engage with the group because they're not sure how to help the group, or they can't help the group because they're kind of not there and they're learning. So there's, always like weird different experiences with groups, but nobody said submitting to the instructor was very motivating. Some people are really motivated by publishing something for the world to see. But so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, most people were really interested in publishing, but some people really like to present. So that is a complicated question, but it kind of gets at something that is really core to something that you're probably you've thought about in your life, right? And so I'm sure you've asked yourself this question: why did you go to college? What was the point of going to college? And the real reason a lot of people go to college, and I've thought a lot about this because I've started a number of boot camps and I've started a number of companies, is largely to get institutional esteem. That's what I call this, and that's basically where you do work, classwork, you do tests, you do projects, something, and then you give that to the instructor, who then stamps that you understand the content of the class. And so you get the esteem back. And so when you turn classwork in to an instructor and you get credit for your class, that's motivating. That's why you came to college. That's why you paid money to go to there, and you've taken all this time off of work and you've done all of this learning. It's largely to get institutional esteem. Now, that's not the only kind of esteem that everyone needs, right? As we all know, like just having a college degree is not enough, right? You've got to have a number of other things to kind of succeed. And so there's all these other things that you're working on, right? And in college, a lot of people are also looking to get group esteem, right? And so part of the reason why it's motivating to present is literally just this simple equation, right? All of the people in class see you present something cool. They then think you're smart. That feels good. It's a simple experience, but a lot happens because of it. Um, so, uh, you know, when you do like a whole app and there's a whole story and you are able to present like a fully formed idea to the class, that's very satisfying because it's not just the instructor giving you the esteem, right? Like ostensibly all the other people in the class want to be software engineers. They're going to be in the field, right? Some of the people in the class you know from before, or you've met them in the class and they're smart and you want to impress them. There's a lot of reasons why people want group esteem, right? But this is like a weaker form of esteem. Even if you have a 4-credit class, and so you are a professor or you have a group of students, or sorry, you are a professor or you're a 4-credit site and you're helping a professor. The fact that you can give institutional esteem is great, but you probably, maybe know that it's not as motivating, right, as this group esteem. So if we think of, this institutional esteem, it's important, but it's not as motivating as this group esteem because you get more from more people, right? Even though the instructor represents the institution, the classmates, it feels like impressing more people, but it pales in comparison to community esteem, right? And so community esteem is when you actually do publish something that the world can see. You put it on, let's say, Product Hunt, you put it on the App Store or Google Play, you write something up or you perform an exploit and you put it up on GitHub, or you write up a proof of concept, you put it on Medium, or you build something and you write a tutorial or you explain why you chose your tech stack, right? And you put that on dev.to. These experiences are, as institutional esteem is to group esteem is to community esteem. So the community, it's just more people, right? It's more esteem and it's wider spread esteem, right? It's more effective social currency, right? You've been familiar with institutional esteem for most of your educational career, right? You got to get the grades to get into the good college. You got to go into the good college to get, the good knowledge, right? But, it's never been the most like motivating thing, right? People are like, you should get good grades. And you go, yeah, I should. But how long did it take you to take that into consideration and get the good grades, right? It's really like impressing the people who are at CodePath, the people in your class, because most people take these classes not even really for any of this, but for the ability to publish to the App Store and for the ability to publish on Google Play and for the ability to actually explain why you should, do this or that for, security reasons, right? So this is the actual tool that you really want to wield. And in order to do that, basically what we did last time is that we did a demo day, right? And so that's how we're going to help with community esteem this time. We're going to do another demo day. We also have the career fair. And so for those things, that's where community esteem, that's how we can give out community esteem. But in order for that to work, we need y'all to help us build this up and into a big deal, right? If you're if you were in the summer class, you might remember this. Was anyone in the summer class? Just say so in the Zoom chat. Or sorry, not the summer class, but the spring class where we did that demo day. Anybody remember that? Cool. Yeah, and it's really exciting and it get really built up, and the quality of submissions, the amount of work that people put into those apps was way higher than we had seen without a demo day. So what we need for y'all to do is help sell the story of getting community esteem and the understanding, right? Um, it's usually pretty clear to people, hey, we could build something and submit it on the App Store, and that's usually enough to sell it. But you might have to kind of explain, having an app on the App Store is a lot bigger of a deal for your resume than not having one, and so um, you might have to kind of talk to everyone about this. But we're going to announce another demo day. But in the beginning of your classes, we're going to need you to just say, hey, these groups that you're in, these pods that you're in, you're going to do as a team a major application after you do all of the labs and assignments. And then you're going to demo it at a demo day. It's like a super long hackathon, basically. And those projects are like, people use those to get hired because they can show open source code on GitHub of like a real working app. And in cybersecurity, the Facebook's cybersecurity class, it has enough institutional esteem that kind of goes with it. But it's really going to be the work that you did and the ability for you to tell stories about beating it, right? Writing them up on Medium. So help us sell this community esteem piece, because it is like the most powerful way to motivate students to do a really great job on their stuff. So that's how we can do community esteem. We also have another form of esteem that we can use, which is the gradebook, right? And it's institutional esteem from CodePath, which is a little different than college institutional esteem. Like, it's a little bit like a separate college that kind of has its own like level of esteem associated with it. And so the reason for that is because we do grade everything, right? And we don't allow people to not submit anything and somehow pass the class, right? So because we check submissions, that's a lot of how we are able to actually wield institutional esteem. Even if you're a non-credit course, we'll still have a gradebook for you. I'm gonna show you the gradebook. This gradebook is, it's a old replica of an old gradebook, so it's not really valid anymore. But yeah, so it doesn't have the real actual data. We kind of, changed it up so that it would be okay to show, right? But there's real emails in there, so I'll have to cut this part out of the video. So what you will get is after right when your class actually starts and everybody has like a login for whatever platform and everything, we will make a gradebook and we'll send it to you, and it will look like this. This is one for cybersecurity. They're basically the same. They look pretty much the same. And just to kind of go over, how do teachers look at a gradebook, and how do we actually use gradebooks to ask students to do work, right? So here you can see there's like a ranking, right? And so these students who are rank 1, you probably don't need to bug them, really. They'll like extra bonus stuff, but if they're rank 1, 2, or 3, like they probably don't need to be followed up with. What you really got to do is you got to look for the students who are like 20 and 17 and things like that. Take a look at how many missing or late submissions they have, or late labs or missing assignments, right? And high numbers, those are just the people that we need your help to follow up with. Our ops team, if you miss an assignment, they follow up with you, right? You get an email from CodePath. So they're handling that for you. You don't have to follow up with everyone. But if you get people who have repeated late assignments and repeated missing assignments, you'll start to see them show up in the 3s, right? that's when they're in danger of being dropped. So you have to kind of start having conversations, like once people really like get to like 2 missing and late, you know, make sure they really have time for the course, talk with them, see if they need any help. Um, and you can see this information here, and this is kind of like the high level, right? You can get their name and their GitHub, and these are like real names and GitHubs, but not correct grades. So, but you know, they'll be like this. You'll be able to see real data, right? You'll also be able to see what attendance bonus they're getting. And so, you know, in most courses, there's some sort of explanation of like coursework weighting and explains those kinds of things. Bonus points, how submissions work, attendance incentives, right? And so all that information can be seen here. What is their total submission performance? What's their attendance bonus, etc. And you can also see like how they did on each individual lab. So, you know, if you're teaching every other class or something like that, and you want to see, okay, how did they do in lab 2? That was my lab, you know. You can go in and look and see like how many points they got, things like that. You can also see specifics about their submissions. So you'll get overviews here, like how many individual students were missing assignments, right? And how many individual students were missing still after like a checkpoint, right? 48 hours extension bonus thing or automatic thing. And then, yeah, you can see like complete, incomplete, missing. So you can target specific students, like, you know, this student didn't turn in most stuff, right? But they did do the first lesson. And so this person, you know, if it was week 4, you would want to reach out to these people. So this is kind of how you can use institutional esteem, right? We have specific, you know, like how to turn things in, things like that. Sorry, where did it go? Yeah, here it is. You know, we are checking your submissions, and we handle all of this stuff. We just kind of need you to help extend your empathy to this group of students. Because otherwise, I mean, you know, I have like 10 of this spreadsheet, and so I personally don't know if, like, for example, maybe Diego was having a really hard time this semester and just needed like another week for every single assignment, right? And so the instructor has the capacity to know that, but we at CodePath, there's so many students that we can't know it. All of us, right? We need your help to kind of scale. So yeah, you'll take you'll see an overview of their attendance, who came to what, and yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in here, like other details about what things. Yeah, those are, sorry, real data, so I probably should just not show that one, but yeah. So you'll spend some time in this gradebook taking a look, looking for students who need help. And that's generally how you're going to wield institutional esteem. So we have institutional, we have community esteem. You're in charge of the labs, and you're in charge of kind of what's happening in each session. So to use group esteem, you're going to want to figure out kind of amongst your students, amongst the class, how to do this, right? What should they present? What are they gonna want to sit through, right? Not everybody doesn't necessarily want to listen to somebody talk for as long as I've been talking, right? And so you know, you don't want to have a lot of classwork sessions where every single person submits or like presents, because if there's 20 people and they take 2 minutes each, well, that's 40 minutes, right? So think about what scales, maybe 1 or 2 people presenting per time. It kind of depends, and it's really about what do you want people to put the effort into. People can't put infinite effort onto everything. And so, you know, to have them present something, it pick something that's really important, right? Or have them like present extra information that they have to go and research. So yeah, that's kind of how to use a Steam. So just, you know, I like these little strategy tables. So just if you have low submissions, make sure you're posting all due and upcoming assignments. Use Slack, use email, send it out on multiple channels. Some people check Slack, some people check their email, some people check Facebook Messenger group that you made, you know, whatever it is that's going on in your classroom. Just make sure you're posting all due and upcoming assignments there regularly. For late submissions, just send reminders to any students that have late submissions. A reminder coming from us it's easy to just close the email and ignore it, or just not open it and go, I know, I'll get to it. But a reminder from you is more impactful. So, you know, reach out over email and Slack for people when you see that in the gradebook they're missing, or they're late, or they might need help. If they're not trying super hard on the submissions and you're seeing work that's just like not up to par, that's when you want to schedule some office hours. If people are not finishing, you're getting a lot of incompletes, right? So if you look in their submission tracker and you got a week where like most people didn't get it, right? That's what this looks like, is maybe we need to go over whatever week 6 was again. So if you see that, you're going to want to, you know, use email, Slack, the discussion system, and then have some office hours if you're starting to see, you know, this happen, right? So yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of ask is, what other developer communities are there that you belong to? A lot of people use Discord, but when I say Discord, like what Discord are you on? What Slack group are you on that are full of devs? And you talk to devs there, and maybe you ask questions, maybe you ask for help, maybe you go there to read things, you know. So yeah, just let's take like 3 minutes and just talk about what dev communities we belong to. And try to give me the names of them. Like I know Discord and Slack have a lot of things, but what are you on, you know? Developer Student Club. All right. UA Data Science. Anita B. Yeah. I go to that conference sometimes. Learn to Code community. Caitlin, where Learn to Code community? Technol at FSU. UBIC. I don't know what that is. Spartan Hackers. I've heard of them. I think they're like a Facebook group I'm a part of. Microsoft Club. They got some good stuff on there. Yeah, Microsoft, they have a bunch of clubs and they recruit out of those clubs. So those are cool. Society for Advancement of Computer Science. That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. So these are great. And if they have online places where people can kind of sign up, that's another thing that we need help with from y'all. Is, you know how it is when you're becoming a developer, you don't know anyone else who's a dev, you don't have anyone to talk to. And so it's critical to have a community where you can just find people to ask questions, right? So we need your help to enculturate students by showing them how many developer communities there are out there. Talk about the ones in class that you're a part of. Talk about places where you do learning that is outside of school. Not just CodePath, but like, do you read on Medium? Do you follow a specific publication? Do you read, Hacker News used to be cool. I don't know where the new thing is now. I think it's Medium. And yeah, women in tech and women in computer science groups. There's a bunch of those. So if there's also a lot of identity groups, right? If you identify as a certain gender, or if you have a certain ethnicity, there's often a lot of groups that are around like solidarity, in tech. And if you're a part of one of those groups, Asians in tech, the National Society for Black Engineers, the Women in Information Security. Those groups are awesome, but your students don't all know about them. Just because you are maybe constantly inundated on Twitter or whatever it is that you're on about those groups, your students, a lot of times, they don't know about the existence of those groups. So we need your help to drive students out into the community and get them to do stuff like submit on the App Store, put things on Medium, GitHub, post things to dev.to. I'm looking for other websites for things like this place is pretty cool. It's got a lot of, what's the term? Tutorials, changing the default branch name on GitHub, vanilla JavaScript, emoji picker, right? So they say they have a lot of tutorials and things like that. So showing your students things like this and asking them to go out and encouraging them to like write one Medium article over the course of the whole thing. We need your help for that. So yeah. These groups that you're a part of, bring your students. You will have so much gravitas walking into a developer group with a bunch of your students, right? Even if it's an online Slack, right? You can kind of like colonize another Slack or another Discord group with your students. You just get a lot of gravitas personally in those groups. So it's awesome. And we also want you to know that like, you're not just going to be dumped into these classes and be totally alone, right? Every week you're going to communicate, someone in your school is going to communicate with your guru for at least 15 minutes. Talk about how the class is doing. Talk about how do they seem to feel? How's the emotional tenor? Are they sharing enough memes, Talk to your guru about these things. If there's a toxic culture in one of the groups, or if a lot of people are sort of low energy, talk to your guru about these things. And they are tech fellows who have been doing it for a while, and they have expertise and advice. And if anything's just really hard to figure out, like, I'll come in and also help. So we're here to help you run this class really effectively. And to where students are having a really great time, right? And so if anything's ever not okay, or students are not having a great time, you suspect they're not having a great time, but you don't know what to do about that, you can always reach out to us. We're not going to be like, you're messing up our students' experience, you're bad. We're not going to be mad. We're here to help diagnose any weird problems, talk out any weird issues, right? So you'll talk to your guru at least once a week. We will also have kind of tech fellow pods. We've done them so far for the first 6 weeks of class. I think we're going to do them for we're going to start them at the beginning of the remote semesters start. They'll be grouped by course, so you can talk about the specifics, right, of what what's going on in your actual class, like what might be, the students are struggling with Flickster, or the students are having trouble with SQL injection, right? So you can have a real conversation with people who are teaching the same thing as you. And then any returning tech fellows, they're going to present some techniques, show you some stuff that helped when they were teaching. So you should get some ongoing education. And also, we're going to have group problem discussions where it's just like judgment free. I got that one student who's always breaking in and correcting me and leading the class down a hole. I don't know how to deal with that one student, or whatever it is that, you're struggling with. We're going to be there. We'll talk it out. We'll talk out how to run different discussions and things like that. And yeah, always good to have a cool link dump. So we'll do a link dump every week, and everyone can share cool stuff that they're finding online. So yeah, these are the ongoing support. You're not going to be totally alone. And then, the other thing that you have in terms of support, sorry, here, is basically, so what you'll see in your course portal, if you're part of, or if you've taken one of those classes before, cybersecurity, Android, iOS, you'll see them, one of the university courses. When you're an instructor, they will put you in a cohort that says university, cybersecurity, iOS, Android, fall 2020. So it'll look like this, only it'll say fall. Your role in that, or sorry, you will have a location, and so you'll be able to pick your location, whoever it is, right? If you're the U of Florida, right, you'll click this one or this one, right? And then you'll be a TA, that'll be your role, and that will allow you to see this special page that says Tech Fellow. You're used to seeing like not this page, basically. So let's kind of look at what's there. So there'll be a link to the task tracker. There'll be notes about what to do if you're for credit versus non-credit. There's a whole session outline for what to do for every single session. It tells you how many minutes to have them fill out the survey, how many minutes to present this deck. There's a course orientation deck. And so for each one of these, it tells you exactly what to do. And there's one for every one of these units. There's a plan. So you don't have to make like a step-by-step plan. There's like 20 minutes, present the intro deck. You'll click on the intro deck, and then it's a deck, and you can just basically make a copy and present, whatever the deck is about, right? So just to kind of give you that overview, like every unit is planned out. There's a session outline. You don't have to make up a plan. We talked a little bit about how, your a typical session is going to look kind of like this, like debrief, topic overview, and then mostly the lab. So here that is debrief, intro, mostly the lab, right? And then, wrap up. So yeah, those are all written out for you, and there's decks on every single thing. So you can add questions to the decks, you can upgrade the decks, you can add directions to the decks, you can add cool links. It's up to you, like, to go ahead and fork and make your own stuff. But yeah, just this is kind of where a lot of that stuff is. You should also have at this point, actually I'm not sure if everyone has it at this point, but at some point you'll be able to, when you are in the correct cohort, when you have this but with fall, you'll be able to open that organizer dash there. So I did that fast, but yeah, organizer dash. And then you can see, stuff like when is it going to start? What classroom is it supposed to be in? Most people are remote, but things like the end date for the application. So there's a bunch of information in there. It's referenced in the task tracker. Here's how to get there. And if you don't have these links yet, or if you don't have the these yet, just it'll come basically as soon as we have all the cohorts set up in the system. So it'll kind of depend on your university when exactly you'll get access. But look for an email from us describing that you have now been added as a TA or as a tech fellow on a specific cohort, and then that'll be your signal that you have access. So yeah. Any questions on the course portal? This is kind of where most stuff is, really. you can see like, you know, the session agenda is just, it's still here as well. So, yeah. Well, yeah, so didn't have a lot of questions this time. That was kind of all we really have. Generally, what I've been asking people to do is identify an online hackathon or competition. So we're just kind of polling for that right now. Gurus are going to organize a post class like hackathon, like, you know, mass attack from all the CodePath students. So help us find cool hackathons. If you see something and you feel personally compelled to participate in a hackathon, share it with us so that we can get other people involved, because sending teams to hackathons is always it's always better than you know, you trying to go and figure your own thing out alone. So yeah, please do, yeah, if you see any of those. And otherwise, please fill out this survey. You are or just attended Facilitator training session 3. That's it. And you should have gotten an email, or you'll get an email, but just to remind everyone, August 5th and 6th, we're going to talk about remote facilitation, Zoom and Slack culture, and remote social learning. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone. Y'all can head out as soon as you're done filling out that form. Fill out my NPS survey while you watch it, while you look at me. It's the greatest way to get students to not mark you a 2. Have a good one.